Three Kingdoms Total War was a game that at launch had very positive reviews. The base game was very solid and it became the fastest selling game in the series, selling over 1 million copies in its first week. But very recently, a lot has been surrounding this title, and I did not even realize how out of hand it had gotten. We have a partnership that has been formed, censorship of mods, price hikes in content. This is just a lot to surround one game in a very short amount of time. So a lot of this started when NetEase, Sega, and Creative Assembly announced that they had formed a partnership to bring the franchise to China. Now, one thing that I do want to actually praise in this situation is that they made localization support for the game. I do not agree with Chinese censorship, but it is something that we unfortunately have to face as a reality. We might not be able to change Chinese policies, but that does not mean it has to affect the rest of us. If a region cannot contain specific content, then it should have a localized version. But this is not something that Chinese players are happy about, because NetEase is known for having a lot of games with predatory monetization methods. They are not as bad as Tencent, but they still have a very bad reputation. NetEase and Blizzard have actually had partnerships since 2008, which started with the relaunch of World of Warcraft. They brought StarCraft 2 to China, and their partnership will actually continue with NetEase developing Diablo Immortal. Where is that, by the way? Even though Total War was available in China via Steam, it was not an official public release. Creative Assembly did this due to Chinese regulations, where video games cannot be sold in China if you are not partnered with a Chinese company. So NetEase, Tencent, and even Perfect World are some of the largest video game publishers in China because they are the middleman for a lot of companies that want to sell to the massive market that exists in China. But ever since that happened, there have been a lot of problems surrounding the game. One of them that is still going on is the fact that specific mods are receiving censorship and are being taken down. The first case was back a few months ago. Someone had created a mod where the 2D portraits for female characters were changed, and they were wearing more scantily clad robes than previous portraits were. It was removed because the developers claimed it violated the end user license agreement for the game regarding mods, and of course they did not explain what part of the end user license agreement was violated. Then we had one of the community managers, Grace Carroll, take to the official Reddit and explain why she had an issue with the mods, saying that if you guys cannot understand how weird and uncomfortable it is as a female community manager to see every main female character in our game reduced to standing around in her underwear, then I do not know what to tell you. This is yet another community manager that does not understand their majority demographic and definitely doesn't understand what the meaning of fan service is. There is nothing wrong with having sexualized characters in video games, and what she said is nothing more than her opinion. The censorship of mods containing sexy portraits has continued over the past few months without being addressed, continuing to cause yet another problem with the game. There is something that I have read quite a bit about while going through Steam's reviews, but also the Reddit, which is that in some regions, the game has actually gone up in price. The highest that I saw an increase of was $10, which isn't that much of a difference, but with a new DLC released called 8 Princes that you also have to pay for, the cost is really starting to add up. This could be a mistake on the part of Steam, it could be currency changes, or it could be part of Creative Assembly. Either way, this definitely needs to be explained, and they haven't addressed it yet. I do hope that they do address this and this does change, but we really have no other information on it, though I felt it was important to mention, since this is another problem that a lot of players are talking about. Now, checking the Total War Reddit to look for discussions from players about their dissatisfaction and anger over what has been going on with the game leads us to a Reddit that is in full damage control mode. Moderators are removing threads that mention NetEase, censorship, and even review bombing that is currently happening on Steam. Anything negative surrounding the game that is not discussing the game itself is being removed. They are willing to just dismiss and silence criticism without actually listening to what players have to say, and that is one of the worst things a company and moderators can do, in my opinion. You need to be listening to what your players want, listening to their satisfaction or their dissatisfaction, because if all of your players leave and none of them support your game anymore, then what does it matter if you have a partnership with NetEase? What does it matter if you brought the game to another region? A few extra sales is not going to keep your game around in the long term. Even though the mods were censored before the deal with NetEase, this game was selling relatively well in China through non-public channels. So the aim of publicly officially releasing in China was always there. It makes sense that from the beginning Creative Assembly has wanted the game to conform to Chinese regulations. These changes are angering Western and Eastern players alike, showing the disdain for NetEase's business practices in all regions. For Creative Assembly, this could essentially be seen as a double win. Not only did they preemptively stop what they view as criticism from outrage culture over these sexualized characters in the West, but they have also pleased Chinese regulations so that they can have their game go officially public in China. Creative Assembly is going to have a lot to address in the future, and hopefully they just do not dismiss it all like a lot of companies would. But let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Are you someone that plays this game? Were you considering playing this game? Has this affected how you view the game? Make sure to give this video a like if you enjoyed and a dislike if you did not enjoy. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.